What's up, you rootin', tootin', scootin', YouTubing sons of guns? Welcome to the UniWeb interview show. Today I'm joined by Daniella Park, fantastic guest, actually a business owner of a clothing line that deals with sobriety. The clothing line is called Doing It Sober. Had a great time talking to her. She's also writing a book right now called Leaving Los Angeles, and she's also contributed on 2 other books. We get into a great discussion about how she's doing it sober and how it's completely transformed her life from where it was to where she is now, successful businesswoman, author, and all that great stuff. Stick around, enjoy the interview. Yeah! Daniella Park!
Bam!
What's up, girl?
What's happening?
How are you doing today? Thank you so much for coming on the UniWeb interview show with your host, Matthew Whiteside. Today I'm joined by Daniella Park.
Thank you so much for having me. What a thrill. You are the best. I'm going to be rocking out with you today.
The best, something for sure.
Close.
Better than I was.
That's right. That's a good one. There you go.
Progress. I've made progress. Daniella Park, thank you so much for coming on. You've done a lot that I'm just starting to learn about. You were connected. Sherry connected us. My girlfriend Sherry brought me to your attention, or brought you to my attention. You have written a book, and you're working on another book. You also have a clothing line. In a clothing line dealing with sobriety, correct?
Yes.
A blog, a podcast.
No podcast.
Oh, the podcast is no longer. What about Real Aligned Women podcast? That's not.
That is a friend of mine's podcast that I was a guest on.
You were a guest on that one. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you were a guest on another podcast. Great. So you're doing a lot of stuff. You've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I like to keep busy.
That's good.
It helps a lot. It really does. And the book things just kind of, I was thinking about it today. And when I was younger, in Hollywood, because I grew up in Hollywood, I would tell everybody, I'm an actress or I'm a writer. And back then it was okay to call yourself that because you probably really were if you said it. Now, now it's not so common to find somebody who is actually working when they say that they're an actress. They're aspiring to be a working actress or so on. Anyways, Writing was something I was always good at. I think that I burned some brain cells because I'm not as witty as I used to be. I used to freestyle rap, down with ask Sherry.
Do you wanna do a freestyle?
No, hell no.
I've been known to bust some pretty ridiculous freestyles on the show.
Well, I would rather listen to you.
Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm terrible.
Yeah, it's not that fun anymore.
No, but the brain cells are definitely gone. So, what is your first book? When did you publish it? When did you write it? And what's it all about?
I have it here. It's called The One Thing That Changed Everything. And I didn't write the entire book, but I have my own chapter, and I got to write, there I am, my experience on what was the one thing that changed everything in my life. And what do you think that was? Getting sober.
Oh, okay. Dang it. I was going to say something else. I was going to say like robotics or something. I don't know.
And it's basically, the story is about me speaking from an alcoholic point of view, and which I pretty much can't speak any other way because I am an alcoholic. But there's a bunch of other different people, Grammy winners, all sorts of types of people. So this has, a good genre of different things.
When is this out? This book is
already out. It was a #1 Amazon bestseller for 12 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And we're talking so many categories. It was crazy, but it is a very positive, motivating, one of those, books that you read and you go, I want to be more like that person.
Yeah,
These people are good people.
absolutely. So when you talk about the one thing that changed everything, obviously it's sobriety for you. Let's go into the story a little bit, right? Because I mean, it completely rerouted your life
Yeah. Yeah.
from, if you want to share like where you were
Oh,
to where you are now.
sure. Sure. At the time I was hanging around Sherry, just to take you back way far, I had gotten my first DUI. I wasn't even 21. I was driving home. I don't even remember anything. I just remember the sirens coming on, and I was such a dick to the cops. I mean, horrible. I was punching, kicking, and it was gnarly.
Yeah.
And then I got another DUI later, almost to the month of 7 years later. So I had to go to jail. So nothing ever got better. And then I just got worse and worse and worse. I finally had texted somebody the word help. And that was a big deal for me. That was like 16 years of not taking a sober breath, just being out there and just using and drinking and partying. And I was not a unhappy person. I enjoyed going out and having fun, but it was at the point where it was no longer fun.
Yeah.
I did that thing I had to do one last time to get what I needed. And I was in the shower and I started feeling this awful pain, and it got worse and worse. And then all of a sudden, I kind of fell over and I started hyperventilating, and I thought I was dying. I just thought I'm going to die. Like, my face was contorting. I was like, ooh, with my fingers, everything. Like, that's really what happened. And basically, I thought I was having a stroke. I thought, this is it. Like,
Yeah.
now I'm going to lose my looks too. What else am I going to have left? That's about all I had left. I had no friends, no money, no nothing. So I ended up going to the emergency room and I had emergency surgery. I had blown open my stomach lining. I had done way too many drugs and alcohol over the years, and I had way too much stress living with boyfriends who would beat the hell out of me, and just horrible things that you put yourself through because of alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
We're not good to ourselves when we're, drunk or high. So, excuse me. From there, I still didn't believe that I was, an addict or an alcoholic. I really didn't think it had anything to do with what happened. So a few days later, I went to a pharmacist and I said, hey, can you give me something that would make me feel good? Like something you could put on my arm or lotion. I had staples in my stomach. My guts were pouring out of the staples. My shirt was soaked. I couldn't smoke. I couldn't drink caffeine. I couldn't do anything remotely to get high or whatever, because it would contribute to this thing like not healing. And so the psychiatrist said, honey, you need to go to AA. And so I don't know what it was. I just I jumped in the car, called a girlfriend, and off to AA I was for the second time.
So you took the advice immediately.
Well, I went, ironically, there was a meeting right next door to the pharmacist. And I went in there, this lady was crying her eyes out, and I just thought, oh, this is so not for me. But then I ended up in the car having some spiritual awakening. I don't even remember doing it, calling a girlfriend. She said, meet me at a meeting tonight. And I'm like, okay. So I met her, and it was like, I looked around and I saw nothing but beautiful, gorgeous women and blondes and bodies. And I was like, I'm not going in there. My shirt was soaking wet. It kept getting wet. And I just felt like so disgusting. And I finally jumped in and got my feet wet in the meeting. And I felt this passion and love like I've never felt in my life. These people grabbed a hold of me, and it makes me so emotional every time I think about it. They grabbed me and they listened to me, they hugged me, they called me. No one called me to see if I was okay. It just wasn't one of those things. Nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
And now these people were calling me the next day, the week after, because they were sincerely wanting to know how I was doing. They wanted to have coffee. I mean, what? It was weird.
It is
And
weird.
from then on, I just fell in love with it, and just, I was off and running, you know.
Yeah.
Kept coming back to that program, and everything has been better since.
It's amazing that you go from a place of absolute brokenness to where your guts are literally spilling out of you
Yeah.
to where you are now, where you feel. I'm sure. I mean, you obviously feel a million times better, but your life is better than you probably could ever imagine it. Um,
Yeah.
and it really is about those people who reach out to us in the program, right? Because
It is.
I'm in recovery as well. AA has been something, and for me I was so sick, and like I couldn't get over myself enough to ask for help. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I finally asked for somebody's help and became willing to just take responsibility for my life
Yeah.
that something changed. Now, you didn't go from this like wreck of a human being to where you are now, right? I mean, it took some time, correct?
Yeah. There's a word that I hated when I came in, and it was called slow briety. And
Slow. I've never heard that.
I just hated it. And that was one of the words that my grand sponsor used to say, slow briety, Daniella, slow briety. I was like, and it's true. You can't heal half of a life spent out there. They say that you left off growing when you started drinking and using, so that would be your real age mentally. um, and so first of all, I had to learn how to live. I had not lived without a drink or a drug for every day of my life for 15 years, 16 years. So honestly, I really didn't know what to do anymore. I never was comfortable. I was kind of I was like the always the star of the show, but I think that I always needed that for people, to give me like a recognition, or I don't know how to explain.
Validation to.
Yeah, validation, and that I was the best. And it was
Yeah.
because I really probably didn't think, and growing up as a kid, I was a jerk to my parents. They gave me everything. They just, poor parents, I was just so mean. But it's great because now I can do the spiritual amends to my family and friends that I screwed over, and that takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. It's action, and it's time, and it's continuously doing the good actions, the being accountable. And I forgot to turn off the sound on my phone. Good one. Just being accountable for and getting start. What I did was, I lost a lot of brain cells. I'll say that again. No, I started to get this God consciousness. I never had a God before I came in, but I had this boom, like explosive thing happen to me where it was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn more. It was
Yeah.
like so there that I knew. It was a story about these
Was it like a white light experience?
What?
Was it like a white light experience, like it talks about in the big book, or
Yes, it
really?
was. It
Those
was.
those are rare.
Yeah, it was. It was amazing, and a lot of people. That's a whole other story, but
Sure.
it was the first time that I actually considered hope. I had never really thought about the word, or took a look at what that might be. It was just not something I ever thought about.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this word hope keeps coming in. I'm like, do I have hope? I think I do. This feels good. And then I was able to throw away my plans and my bright ideas and just give them away and take a break and let God direct my thinking and have him, push me in the right direction. And man, I have had so much fun ever since doing things I never imagined.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because it's something we never imagine happens, right? But it just somehow shows up. Like, what before the shift happened, what was your idea for your life? Like, besides like partying and getting drunk and wasted all the time, like there was still probably some idea of like, I want this and this and this out of life, right?
I was always a go-getter, even when I was out there. That was one of the things that I was looking through all of my notes and my calendars. And I was a personal manager. I was a VP of a big production company. I was always just top notch at whatever I did. And then I'd pick up a crack pipe or, a crystal meth pipe. And,
Yeah. There you go.
I show up for work. I never was the one that didn't show up. And it was just, it just didn't work. So I'd get fired, and I was always, I always had businesses, interior decorator. I had a PR firm, everything I could think of.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I really didn't have any dreams. I just was kind of anything I could do on the computer because I didn't want to go out in public.
Hey, that's exactly what I'm doing. I want to go outside. It's scary out there. But so what happened? So you've always had this entrepreneurial spirit that you wanted to do for yourself and create something. What happened to push you in this direction with the clothing line, about sobriety and all that kind of stuff? What kind of triggered that?
Well, I came up with, I'm sorry, I have a runny nose today and my nose is itching and it's so annoying. So I'm just going to itch it.
Like the program on this show, nobody's perfect. So it's all
good. I get
good.
that. So I'm okay with that. Thank you. It's awesome. At around 2 years sober, I was like, I want a clothing company. I really want to do t-shirts. And I tried to do it, and I started coming up with ideas, and my name of my company was Jesus Jones, and it was just ridiculous. I'm not a Bible thumper at all. Like, never even, I don't go to church, nothing.
How did you come up with the name Jesus Jones?
I don't know. It just sounded good to me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool.
And then I heard there's a band called Jesus Jones. So whatever. It just didn't work out. And then me and my girlfriend, we really wanted to make shoes, and we were always thinking, what could we do? And then when I got married, which is one thing I never thought I'd ever do in my lifetime. I mean, who would marry me? I was psychotic. Totally.
I know some guys.
Got married and, was a little bit more settled, and I made a goal. I started working for a toner and ink company, and we had to do goals. So I made a date and a goal to get the name. I could not figure out a name. Very annoying. Because everything was taken. If I wanted something, this was taken, so I couldn't get the handle of this and that. So I just said, ugh, because 2 months of trying to find a name.
Yeah.
And so I just said, doing it sober. That was it. And then I let it sit there. And I had another date to have the shirts ready and available. And then all of a sudden the shirts pop up. And then I started to try to learn how to make the shirts in my 105-degree garage silk screen. I wanted to throw the silk screen through my window. It's like,
Yeah.
Very difficult to learn and do in your garage. You can't even, it's not fun. And then I ordered T-shirts that I had in my garage for 5 years. That I way over ordered T-shirts, and then I put it down. And I said, I don't want to do this. And then God pushed it back on me, and I got invited to go to the Atlanta International AA Convention, which was in Atlanta in 2015. And so ATL, whoa. And basically I went there and I met all these people that are vendors. And for some reason, they're like, you should sell this too. And then I just got hooked up and dialed in with all the people and just started selling. And then my goal became, let me find the coolest stuff I can find and offer it to people, because I have a full-time job. I sell toner cartridges still. And I'm still bank doing that. Good job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's the same job that you had previous? Is it the same company?
Yeah, I've been there 9 years.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
And doing it sober is doing well is doing well as well. Correct?
Yes, we are growing like triple, quadruple every year. The numbers are going up, and we're not trying to do it either. It's just, I remember how frustrating. I was only getting a couple likes on, or no, I'm sorry, likes. I was only getting a couple clicks on my website.
Yeah.
For like the first year per month.
Yeah.
And now it's like at least 150 to 200 a day.
Wow.
On a normal day, which is great for me. I'm just like, wow, that many people. It's a lot. It's a lot of growth, a lot of hard work.
Right. And it's a testament to just sticking it out, right? Just hanging in there and keeping going.
There's so many times I want to give up. There is nothing more frustrating and harder on your soul and your self-esteem than social media. I have this big issue because there's a certain group of people that kind of dominate the recovery area on Instagram.
Okay.
And a lot of those people started when I started and some didn't. And I get so frustrated because I feel like they don't like me. It's the weirdest thing, because they all ask each other to be on their podcast, blah, blah, blah. And then here I am, and they never ask me, and they don't like my stuff. And I'm just like, so you can see where that can take you. I'm like,
yeah,
I'll show you guys one day.
Well, that's why I brought you on, because I've been talking to those guys, and no, I have no idea who you're talking about, but
see what social media does. It makes you crazy.
It can make you crazy, right? And I feel like it's a tricky game. I've actually had to make one of my amends was to social media. And I thought it was crazy at first. I was like, why would I make an amends to an inanimate thing? But it was something that I felt that was necessary, because I abused what it was in the past, and I was using it for things that it wasn't, not necessarily supposed to be for, or in a bad intent. So I had to come to peace with, it's not the social media's fault, that I was acting like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, it was my fault that I acted the way I did on social media, and I had to come to peace with that and like take responsibility for it. Like, okay, you can use social media, Matt. Don't be an idiot on it. Or, well, let me rephrase that, because I'm an idiot on social media, but like a gentleman idiot.
Got it.
Like intentionally funny idiot.
Right. It makes sense.
It makes sense. But it is tough, right?
Interesting. Yeah, it is. So I decided I'll give it up again to God and just let it be.
So this is recent? Are you dealing with this recently?
This is an on and off relationship I have with social media for the last 5 years. No.
Yeah.
I just, I'll post stuff and I'll get like, the funny part about social media is you'll put up a post of some guy snorting a line the size of, a road, and you'll get like 1,000, plus likes, and then you'll get something that's really cool and important and interesting, and you'll get nothing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, funny. Right? Yeah.
it just kind of speaks to the mentality of people. It's like
Yeah.
they want the drama. We all want the like big thing that gives us that guttural, ugh, like what is that? I have to comment on it. But if it's profound and you have to think about it, and you're like, I don't really understand this necessarily right away, so I'll just leave it alone. Kind
Yeah.
of, And I was talking to Sherry about this last night because I've had this idea, like I want to have all this amazing success in writing and YouTube and like acting and that kind of thing, and speaking out about my sobriety and like being a channel for it. And I was telling her last night, it's like, what happens when you get exactly the feeling that you wanted without all the stuff that you thought was necessary? Like without, you know what I mean? Like I don't have the fame or the money or all the accoutrements that come along with what I thought was success, but I have that inner peace and that feeling of like, if I were to die today, I'd be happy with the things that I've done, and I'm okay with everything that I've done so far and like the way I've realigned my life. And she was like, well, you just got to keep doing it. Like, right? Because that's it. Like if I stop doing it, then I'll stop having the feeling. Right?
Yeah. For me, it's keep it simple.
Yeah. Because there's issues. I mean, and you can speak to this. You've been sober a lot longer than I have. To where we think that as soon as we cut out drugs or alcohol, then life is a breeze, right? Like stuff still happens.
Living sober is a whole other story. And, I was on that pink cloud. I got everything back real quick. I got a great job and money, and everything was going good for me. And then at 2 years, I was like, I want to put a gun in my head. And it was because not everything was revealed my first time around. I had to take another look at myself when some stuff came up, because there's so much stuff that we just keep shoving down farther and farther and farther. And that sludge is deep, and it takes a lot of shoveling to get it out. And, I had to take a look at some deeper things. And especially with men, I was not too good at that. I was, I did a lot of different things in my lifetime that I never thought I would do. And so I never really had relationships. And if you wanted a relationship, you will pay. No, I just. So basically, I saw a therapist that helped me for a year. And then all of a sudden I met my husband. I couldn't figure out why I was selling toner cartridges. I first got a job with Konica Minolta. Then I got really good at selling there, and Xerox wanted me over there with the higher position. And then I got mad one day and ended up at the place where I'm at, which is owned by 30 plus year sober people. Everybody there is sober. I met my husband there, and I've met the best people of my life in this place. So I call it home.
It's incredible how things work out when we get out of the way, right?
It's amazing.
It doesn't make sense, like, to a lot of people. And it doesn't make sense to me all the time either. Mm-hmm. But I think that's one of the things that people have trouble wrapping their heads around when it comes to talking to people in a program. And like, even when people talk to me, it's like, how can you believe this, this is going to be that way? Or like letting go and letting God, like believing a higher power is going to take care of you, all that kind of stuff. It's like coming to realize that we had no idea what the hell we were doing. And I still don't. Like I tell everybody, I'm not an expert on a damn thing. Like it's just by the grace of God, I'm here. And I truly believe that,
Yeah.
But like getting there every day is the trick, because every day is a totally new challenge. And
how long have you been sober?
So it'll be 8 months on the 9th.
Wait.
It's the longest I've ever had. Yeah, it's
awesome.
And that's one of the things that, like, talking about how much better your life has gotten, like how much better my life has gotten in just 8 months. I can't imagine. I just can't fathom what it'll look like, down the road.
I mean, look at how energetic and how, you're already starting to do things that are incredible. I mean, you're spreading the message of your recovery, which is one of the things that helps so many people, because we are so messed up. We have this
Yeah.
mental dysfunction or whatever. See,
Yeah.
there's the brain cells again. I used to be able to talk.
Yeah.
And then we have the physical part.
Yeah.
So, and the weirdest thing of all is that we have no defense of the first drink. Like, there's a mental blank spot sometimes where we don't even remember when we picked the drink up.
Right.
What's weirder than that? We are way different than other people. We have way different circumstances, and the outcome is not good. No. And death is usually, and institutions and blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah. Well, and the rate of people dying from this disease now it's incredibly, it's terrifying. I'm lucky as all get out that I've ended up in an institution. I was put there against my own will, which was, thank God. Like I couldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that on my own. But then still, I made the choice to drink again. Like you said, I didn't have I had a white light experience too in the mental hospital when I woke up and was like chained to a bed. I was like, wait a second. It's like I woke up, but it left me because I wasn't doing certain things. That brings me to the point, like, is there certain things that you do on a daily basis to keep yourself spiritually fit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Every morning every morning I start with my performance planner. No. I like this book. It's called Until Today. It's one of my favorite books. It is so good. I post it every day on my Instagram, and people love it. It's good.
Is it a daily devotional type book?
Yes. It's a daily devotional for the spiritual, kind. And then I like 24 hours a day. It's my little AA. And then I pray. And I don't do it on my knees, and I don't do it any particular way. My hands are not like this. I just look outside my window and grateful for. I do think about all the things I'm grateful for, because my sponsee sends me a message on all the stuff she's grateful for. And it truly does remind me of all the things I'm grateful for. And one of them is the view I have in the brand new home that I was able to buy, like 20,000 times bigger than the one I had in LA. I'm like, I'm living in a mansion and I bought it.
That's amazing.
And the birds, they always fly right in front of my window, like huge hawks. I mean, I just saw them. They're always there. And I really connect with animals. That's my thing.
I think that's another big thing, is being able to connect with something more personal to us.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be across the board. Like, you have to believe in this certain thing, otherwise you're out of the club kind of deal. It's like, whatever helps you get sober a day at a time and makes you believe that something bigger than you is going to help you stay sober, that you don't have to take a drink today or do a drug. Like, have faith in that for now and keep working on it. It's like we just continue to grow,
The best thing, God is good. I got here, like I said, in October, and some random dude who's in jail now was talking with my husband at a meeting, and he's like, oh, I know this girl. She really needs a sponsor. And all this weird stuff happened in between. And anyway, so it turns out his purpose was to introduce us. And this girl is right off the street. She has 2 kids. She is killing it. She already got a job. She got promoted. And so anyways, we work the steps every Sunday. She calls me every day and gives me the gratitude list. And so here I am once again going through the book with somebody else, doing the steps over in my head as I'm taking her through them. So, that's the greatest joy that I get. I literally have trouble talking to her without tearing up, just because it's such a fun thing. It's so awesome to be able to sponsor. Oh God, it. See, I get very emotional. It's just such a joy,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
it keeps me sober. It really does.
yeah, because you can, I mean, we are empathetic towards what they went through or they're going through still, right? It's because we were there. I mean, we all have a different bottom, but like seeing the light turn on in somebody else's eyes, that life can be a wonderful, amazing thing,
Yeah.
and we don't have to drown ourselves into oblivion anymore.
Mm.
Like that is a beautiful gift
Yeah.
to realize that hope that you were talking about, that there's more there. God, thank God for that. It's worth everything.
Yeah, it is. And it's tricky, because someone who's just getting newly sober, they do get a job and they do change and they have a place to live and shower. I mean, literally, this girl was on the streets and I love her to death. I mean, she's amazing. And, she's doesn't know how to deal with the good stuff that's coming to her. She didn't expect to get a job. And then we were driving and she got the phone call and she was absolutely in shock. Oh my God, I got the job. Like freaked. So I have to help her grow and be okay with it, because a lot of us, we don't believe that we are worth enough to receive the good things that happen when we get sober. Because there are so many good things that, it's just abundant if we do all the right things.
What is that idea that the other shoe's going to drop at any moment? It's like,
Yes.
and that's one of the reasons why I know I drank, was because I was always terrified that something bad was going to happen. I wouldn't be able to deal with it because something bad had already happened, or like the times I've relapsed, it was when, like you were talking about, life came back and it was beautiful and wonderful, and I was like, well, I can't deal with all this good stuff. Surely it's going to get bad, and when it does, I'm not going to be able to handle it. I might as well just get drunk right now. And and I see that as being a huge issue with a lot of people now in recovery. It's like we just can't handle this success that comes along with working a spiritual program.
Yeah, it is a very hard thing, and about 5 years in, you'll see a lot of people don't make it after the 5 years just because you just have to be okay with living just a peaceful life. And sometimes that's not okay. It's not enough. People want more, more, more. Mostly alcoholics, we always want more, 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 more. But some people can't be happy with just being simple and, not watching TV stoned out of their mind or whatever the hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So would you say that with your business and the rest of your work, like, do you imply the principles that you've learned through AA into that work, or what would you say some of the best practices are for you and somebody who's wanting to branch out and start something like a clothing company or whatever it may be?
Mm-hmm.
Business.
Well, integrity, honesty, and being okay with putting the time in and work. I have always, let's face it, I'm 44 now, but when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was really hot and I got anything I wanted, even when I was working and not doing shit, okay? And stuff was always handed to me. I would get the job over many others just because the way I looked.
Yeah.
And when I got sober, I was selling the copiers and I did real well at that. And I didn't have to work that hard. I had a manager that helped me get all the deals. And a lot of people didn't like me at the office because he was helping me the most. Well, when I started selling toner, I had to work and I had to it takes years to get a database. You struggle. I couldn't get my Botox, my hair color, anything. I had no money, and here I am building my database day by day. And now it's an incredible job, but I'm having to work my ass off and earn the money. I have never done that. So now I appreciate it so much because I worked so hard to get there,
Yeah. And it takes a certain level of humility, right? To remind myself that I'm not entitled to anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's something I know I struggle with all the time. I was talking to Sherry about it the other day. It was like, how did I ever get this idea that I deserve anything? Like, where did that come from? That I just like I'm supposed to show up and be handed something, you know? And
True.
I can relate. I walk into a room and everyone's like, "That guy is amazing. Here's $1 million. Here's $1 million, Mr. Whiteside." You know, that happens to me all the time.
I'm sure.
So I'm like, no, no, no. Now I need to work for it.
Yeah. Is that
No,
what happens?
it's such a difficult thing for us to not because and I wrote a couple pieces on why am I so entitled and like this victim mentality, because I think another thing is this, and I see it on YouTube a lot, and it's really it's bothered me that it's a perpetuation of this victim mentality that if I play the victim, I will get some, some attention and some love, and people will agree with me and be like, and they'll point the finger at somebody else, and I'll be able to point the finger at somebody else. And it lends to me never having to take responsibility for a damn thing that happens in my life.
Yep.
And it scares me because people in the recovery, and I'm talking about people on YouTube who do recovery videos and do like depression stuff and anxiety, and they're pointing the finger at other people, and I'm like, I don't even know how to begin. But it's like if I continue to allow this victim mentality that people are doing life to me, life is happening to me, and I will never get anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You got it right on the mark. I mean, you really, really got that one. And it's good that you got it so early in your recovery because, that is not an ugly, the character defect is awful. And sorry, I am searching my brain. No.
Okay.
I kind of think about it as like, let's say somebody's late at work all the time and they get away with it. And so I'm like, okay, that's really annoying. I'm here every day on time. Like, well, that's because I put my big girl panties on and I don't care what they do because that doesn't refer to me. It's
Right.
None of my business. And I have to do the right thing no matter what everybody else is doing. And I was never like that. I'm like, oh, she's coming in late. Maybe I'll come in late.
Yeah.
So there is that integrity in that.
Well, it's like we stop fighting anything and everything, right? Even alcohol. It's like I'm not fighting against other people. I'm not competing against anybody else anymore. I'm literally just doing every day what's best for me.
Yeah.
And it's great to see people like you who have taken these principles and taken the steps necessary and are living this incredible life now after being the despot that you once were. Because that's the thing that had brought me back into the rooms a lot of times, was like, okay, there are people who are living the life that they keep saying it's possible, that something better is possible. Maybe I should go back and try again and try again and try again. And so it's when I see people like you and getting to talk to you, I mean, it's a gift. It's another gift of the program.
Well, thank you so much. And I see just from talking to you, I think that you should continue doing what you're doing because you're genuine heart. And I think you would, be someone that people would watch and that they would be interested in. So keep doing what you're doing.
Tell my mom. I'm just kidding.
Make her watch it. We'll get another watch. We'll get another watch on that. No.
She believes in me too. No, I appreciate you saying that. It's one of those things. It's the thing that I've never done before in my entire life is persevere. I've never saw something all the way through.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right, and I feel like persevere gets a bad rap sometimes. It's like I have to be miserable for a while I get through this. It's like, no, persevere is getting through it no matter what. It's like knowing that you have an end goal and you're going to continue fighting for it regardless of how you feel about it, because feelings are bullcrap sometimes.
That's how I built Doing It Sober, exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Just keep going no matter what. Once it started to be successful, I knew I couldn't stop. I had to keep going no matter how much I didn't want to create and learn how to build a website and everything else that took my, years and years and years of learning to do, so I didn't have to pay anyone. I sold vintage clothing and would dig through clothing bins and buy them by the pound and resell them to make the money to have the website, and to buy the product. So,
what would you do? Like, because I'm in that same process, what would you do every day? Like, would you tell yourself something, or would you make an action? Because it's so like that idea of, oh my God, there's so much to learn that I don't know. I don't have the money to pay people to do it for me right now. I've got to figure all this out on my own. But like having that timetable, like in your mind, having a timetable, like I want it now. Like, what were you doing then to keep yourself from like freaking out and being like, I can't do it anymore?
Well, the biggest mistake people make is that they don't write down their goals. You have to write down your goals, and it's really fun. Usually I tell people to start with 50 goals, but not stopping. Like, you can't leave the paper until you actually think of 50, and they could be outrageous and crazy and whatever you want them to be. If you even saw my list, how many things are crossed off? Literally everything, except being an actress on a show, because I just needed to get that over with. Motorhomes, just everything. It was crazy. But if you write down the goals, and then if you think of what's my 5-year goal, and then you think of your 1-year goal, and that's how I did it with Doing It Sober. I made dates, deadlines, and then I wrote affirmations. Affirmations. I'm not doing them right now, but I should be, because they help a lot.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm supposed to do. Every morning I do my performance planner, and I'm working with a coach from Zig Ziglar. I'm sure you've heard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing a 12-week program, and it's got me started on my book. Every morning I write 15 minutes of my new book, Leaving Los Angeles, and I do 15 minutes of yoga, and then I have to make a certain amount of calls every day. So when I go and type in my information, I don't feel very good when I haven't made the calls or haven't done the writing, because then my graph goes, So find a way to be accountable.
Yeah.
You get an accountability partner. Those are great.
Yeah, they are. It sounds like you do a lot of stuff with spreadsheets as well.
No.
No?
No, I'm not good at any of that.
Okay, so I don't have to learn in spreadsheets, because I hate that crap.
No, I just fill in the little blanks, and I mostly am a person that likes to write it down.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So where can we find the clothing? Is it all available on like Amazon, or is it all solely through doitsober.com?
I'm not on Amazon yet, because I really am fighting I don't want to learn you. I don't want to learn you. No.
Yeah.
But I'm on Etsy and eBay, and I have my direct site, which is doingitsober.com. And
Right.
I've got, the clothing, the accessories, the towels, the medallions, the jewelry, gold, diamonds, book covers, big book cards. I mean, anything you could really think of that's cool, I got on my site.
It's not just women clothing, is it?
No.
There's for men as well?
Yeah.
Because I want to rock some Doing It Sober gear on the show, on the channel at some point.
We'll talk about that after.
I gotta find some cool gear to rep the brand, because that's fantastic. Anytime you can wear it and be a shining light for other people, I think it's important. Very cool. And you're working on leaving Los Angeles. Do you have a deadline for that?
By the end of the year.
To have the first draft done, or have the whole book completed?
Oh, no, have it completed and hopefully published.
Do you have a publisher already lined up, or is this?
So the thing about books these days, writers don't make any money. It just,
I understand.
I heard that back in the day, they used to make, sometimes like $50 a word. It used to be good. Okay. Well, now with social media and everything else, writers don't make money. So, you can get a publisher or you can self-publish, which is highly recommended through Amazon. And that's what I'm going to do on my next book.
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody does. And if you have a big enough network and you do enough promotion, and I'm actually taking a small course from this lady, Anna David, who's in recovery, that has 8 books out. And she has this course that I took that teaches you how to self-publish, and it gives you all the tips on what to do before. Like, she has us all get the book for 99 cents. We read it and then we review it before it even comes out, like officially.
Right.
So she's already hit #1 of this, that, and this. You know, she knows, she's got it down how to work the Amazon, you know, the genres, and getting the #1 was her goal. And so that's what we did with the other book, The One Thing That Changed Everything. And then the other book that's coming out, you have to check it out. It's The Heart of Recovery. It's written by Doug Boast.
Doug Boats. B-O-P-S.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's okay. It's called The Heart of Recovery, and it's going to be out in a week, right?
Yeah, a little over a week, I think.
Is it available for pre-sale on Amazon? Do you know?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I can check it out and see. If it is, I can put a link in the video. Actually, since it'll be out in next week, I'll be able to put an active link up there because this will come out a little bit later. Very cool. Anything you want to leave with, like, in terms of your legacy, that when you're gone from this place, this physical realm, that people will be able to say, Daniella did this, and that was her swan song or her legacy or whatever?
Ooh, that's a hard question. I mean, I have absolutely no clue. I mean, my advice would be, because I can't really think of what I would be known for. There's so many things. But
so great. There's so many things.
You'd have to ask the person who's going to write the book about me. No. But I would say, don't be afraid to be who you are. Just don't be afraid to be who you are. You know, that's the advice I would give.
Let it hang out, right?
Yeah, because it's hard. You know, we get in those moments where we're afraid to be ourselves. Alcoholics.
Yeah. I've gotten to a point where I just don't care anymore. It's but it only came through humility. Like, people think it's crazy when I say I do it. The only reason I'm able to act like a crazy person and do all this stuff is because of humility. They're like, dude, you're like obviously prideful and ego, but it's like, if it was my pride and ego, and I've run on that a lot, it was like, I had to be perfect because I thought that I was better than everybody else. Now I know that I'm not better than anybody else, and it's the only way that I'm able to stand up in front of anybody else and be like, here I am. Because you know what I mean? I am not. Thank you.
That's awesome, man.
No, but it's lending to what you say. Yeah, be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're all.
One of the things that I have had to learn, or actually that I don't think I tried to learn, one thing is, I am not scared of anything. When it comes to business or doing something, I just feel fearless that way. I'm scared shitless of a lot of other things.
Okay.
Business, like, I have no doubt in my mind, if I wanted to be an actress on some show, I could easily do it. I just am one of those people that doesn't give up, and boom, I believe I will get there. You have to believe it to achieve it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge believer, and I believe in myself. And so, you know, that what that does is just teach other people to believe in themselves. And, you know, like the girl who I sponsor, I talked about earlier, she knows me as the person that is successful, and she believes in me. So I guess that would be my legacy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I say, you know, a lot. Ooh.
Well, Daniella Park, thank you so much for coming on the Uniweb interview show. where all people become one people, as I like to say. Thank you very much for joining me. And yeah, I can't wait to hopefully talk again. And I know Sherry wants to say something to you, but we'll say bye for now.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you would, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification for the bell. You know what? We love you, love you, love you. You know what?